Hello, algoritmers and soulmates. This is Al Reynolds, and welcome to part one of Diddy Do It. And tonight, joining me, we have two incredible attorneys, Symone Redwine and criminal defense attorney Brion Ross. Now, before we dive in, I want to make sure that everyone hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and leave a comment, because if you have any questions, we plan on answering them right here today.
We want to let everyone know we are having this special episode because so much has gone on with Diddy. So we are here to talk about the Diddy updates. It's going to be myself and Al. And I'm also going to go ahead and bring in our friend Brion, who is a Florida attorney. Al, I'll let you introduce him.
Absolutely, everybody. Well, let me just, for my group that's joining us live on my IG, to all my Fox soulmates, to all my algoritmers from my YouTube channel, I have asked two legal beagles. We have two attorneys. You guys know Symone already, who's on her page. But for my team, this is Symone Redwine and Brion Ross. Now, Brion Ross is barred and practices criminal law in the state of Florida, which we know is one of the places in which Diddy's homes is being raided. Now, we are here to unpack the breaking news of Diddy's Miami and Los Angeles home raided by the feds. But before we dive in, right, Symone, before we dive in, Symone and Brion, make sure everyone hit that like and subscribe button to our YouTube channels.
Please.
We also would love to answer any questions that you may have for these legal beagles, because I brought you the top legal beagles surrounding this subject matter. And so be sure to subscribe to Symone's channel for my fans. Be sure to subscribe to my channel for Symone's fans. And Brion is a legal beagle who does not have all his social media set up, but we will have him a page by the end of this week as we cover and uncover this developing story. Symone's channel, everybody, is Girl Is That Legal. And Symone and I have worked before in the past, and I just love her and her commentary, and that's why I've invited her to join me. So tonight, we're gonna unpack just the basics tonight. We're gonna ask a whole bunch of questions. I'm leaning in on this, guys, because I used to be a consultant to a trafficking organization that had housed out of the state of Florida, but also had a branch in Los Angeles, Chicago, New York City, Atlanta, etc. So that is why I've decided to bring this all together, because I'm going to lean in on some of my background to help explain a little bit about what's going on. All right. Are we ready?
Yes.
We are. We've got.
All right, Brion. All right, so this is the deal. This is what I want to know, and this is where we're going to start. And I'm going to throw to Symone and Brion. Brion, look at it. Look at your camera. You got to look at us.
I'm reading. I'm actually reading the physical indictment from another lawsuit.
All right, I understand. Make sure you look at your camera so we know that you're talking to us. All right. All right. So the questions here is, what does this raid mean, and why was he not raided by, you know, regular police or the FBI? Why was he raided by Homeland Security? Hold your thoughts there, legal beagles. Also, why was the two sons handcuffed? We know that they were handcuffed. Other people that were escorted out of the house we saw were not handcuffed. So why do you think, allegedly, why do you think the two sons were handcuffed? Also, how did we get here? Symone, I know you got us some intel. How did Puffy get here? When I say how did he get here, is this because of Cassie, who alluded to trafficking? Is this from, what's his name, the producer?
Rodney Jones.
Rodney
Jones, who alluded to trafficking? Or is this the young lady, who,
Jane Doe,
who recently said she was underage when she was raped by Diddy, allegedly? Okay, these are all the things that I want to unpack. Now, before we unpack it, we got to give you a little bit of juice and a little bit of tea. All right, so this is the tea. Now, the tea is Diddy's cell phones, not one, but we know more than one cell phone was seized in Florida before he got on his private plane to depart somewhere. All right, number two, Justin and Kristen were handcuffed. Does that mean they're charged with something? All right. Number 3, we know from the flight tracker that everybody is now putting up on Twitter and all over Instagram that Diddy's plane is going somewhere. Some saying the Bahamas, some saying the Cape Verde. We're going to lean in with Brian here to explain to us why those might be options. And we also want to know, is he actually on that plane? All right. And number 4, 2 properties in Florida were raided. 2 of his properties in Florida were raided, not just one. So that's some cutting information there, not just one. Not just one, but both of the properties that he purchased in Star Island were raided. All right, let's jump right into this. All right. So Brian or Symone, whoever want to take this first, what does this mean to be raided by Homeland Security?
I'll take that one. So Homeland Security is the entity that involves itself when there are trafficking accusations involved, and strong accusations, okay? So, and we're going to use trafficking because the way YouTube works, they're not going to monetize us if we have too many grown-up words.
Got it.
But that is why. So that means at the forefront of this investigation are the trafficking allegations. And if you recall, each of the 3 pending civil complaints that are pending and that have been resolved, they all make that accusation. Most importantly, remember the first one was from Cassie. Cassie's lawyers are the same lawyers for both Cassie and the Jane Doe, who was a teenager, right? So they both use trafficking. With the Jane Doe, with Cassie, the allegation is that he would fly her from New York to LA and have her engage in these F-offs. And then for the Jane Doe, it was that she was trafficked from Detroit to New York to perform this, these sexual acts. And then thirdly, from the man, Rodney Jones, his allegation is that the trafficking occurred when he traveled with Diddy and had to perform certain acts. So now, that's where that comes in.
Okay, got it. This is very good information. Now, Brian, you are a criminal attorney.
Yes.
Diddy had to know this was coming. The attorney had to know that there was an investigation. When I worked with the ex trafficking organization, whenever we were taking in an individual that was trafficked, we would contact the lawyers. So did Diddy know that this was about to happen? Is that why he's not at home? Is that why he's trying to escape the country? Like, tell us, how does that process work to be served by Homeland Security?
Well, we know that NBC reported, as you said earlier, that he turned his cell phones over to police before he flew on Love Air to the Bahamas. We know that from the flight tail number he was going to the Bahamas. What typically happens is the U.S. attorney will reach out to me and say, look, we are going to arrest your client. We want to have a statement with your client. Can you do this and cooperate with us? Whether you do that or not is a personal choice many times. In this instance, it seems like there may have been some cooperation. He turned the cell phones over. That's a coordinated conversation. And then he went to the Bahamas. So, yeah, he knew it was coming.
So when you say he turned over his cell phone, now, if I knew it was coming, I would delete everything off my cell phone. And I'd be like, here, take it. Why, if they're raiding a home, why are they allowed to raid a home but not allowed to keep him in the States and keep him from getting on that plane?
What we know right now is that they raided his houses in Miami Beach. They raided his house in California. But we don't know if he's a specific target of those raids.
That is true. That is true.
Based upon the complaint filed by the producer, Rod Jones, it's entirely possible that, especially Rod Jones says he has video of sex acts that were falling, which is scary. But given that he says he has that, and the prosecution comes out of the same courthouse that he's facing on the civil charges too. It's not a coincidence.
Okay, so wait a minute. So wait, hold on. Before, if I hear you correctly, hold on right quick. So the Southern District of New York,
Manhattan.
Because the complaint, the judge gave the right to raid from the state of New York.
Correct.
So you're telling me that the Southern District of New York, where Rodney has his case, is the same judge that allowed the raid?
Same courthouse. Yep. Same judge.
That's the same courthouse that has all three that I just referenced.
Three.
That was also No?
Correct.
Yeah. That was the one that had Cassie's lawsuit, that has the Jane Doe lawsuit, and also his. So I just say that to say it doesn't mean his was the trigger. It likely means all
Okay,
three.
got it.
But the other thing that's important.
So Symone, how did we get here?
Cell phone.
Yeah, how do we get here?
Tracking back to the cell phones, this is significant. In Rodney Jones's petition, remember, he's the one that had all the receipts, more receipts than we'd likely, ever seen. One of his major claims is that what Diddy would do is he would take his cell phone and record you doing compromising and embarrassing things and use it to almost blackmail you into doing other sexual things. So connecting that dot, it is very significant that not only are they raiding Diddy's home, but that they took his cell phone.
Well, that's not significant. That's not significant for me because I would delete it off. We need to raid his iCloud. We need to raid his iCloud. But the thing of it
is, they can tell if you've deleted. I've represented a guy where they took his phone, and with the way that they do the backup and all of that, they'll be able to see if you deleted, and then if they see you've done that, you get hit with tampering with evidence and all kinds of additional charges.
Absolutely.
So that cloud.
Yes.
So that was my next question. Someone had mentioned, and we're just going to comments now. And remember, everybody, this is just hearsay, allegedly. But the comments are saying that one of the houses, is in his daughter's name, and that that they're destroying evidence. Brian, why is it the wrong route to take by destroying evidence?
Well, because if you're caught destroying evidence, I hate to sound like a lawyer, but that destruction is admissible against you later. It makes you look guilty of something. The same as running away from the police makes you look guilty. If it comes out that his plane is in fact going to Cape Verde where we don't have an extradition treaty, it could be construed that he's fleeing from police because he has a guilty conscience of something. So
is that kind of how we see and view Russell Simmons? The reason why he's not staying in the States and is in Bali is because the laws are different and he has more protection there. So is that what we're saying could be the case for why he's going?
You could be seeing the case. You could be seeing the case where he says, I'm going to go off to the Cape Verde Islands. Obviously he has the resources to go there and stay there until this process plays itself out.
Symone,
what doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, I was going to say what doesn't make sense is why are you taking his phone but not his passport?
Right.
What are your thoughts there, Brian?
And that really is mind-boggling. All the federal cases I've been in have resulted in a forfeiture of the passport, as you said, Symone. So I don't know what his lawyers worked out behind the scenes, but it seems a little weird to me that he turns his cell phone in and hops a G5 to the Bahamas on his way to Cape Verde Island.
Yeah, I'm curious if perhaps that means that the evidence against him for criminal charges isn't strong enough yet. Because obviously if they had enough for an arrest warrant, they would have gotten an arrest warrant at the same time they got the search warrant. So I'm thinking perhaps if there must be a level you have to rise to take someone's passport, right? Because we've got the right to travel. And it seems that they don't have enough evidence against him to preclude his travel, but did have enough probable cause to raid his home.
Assuming he's even on the airplane, which to be clear, none of us knows for sure.
True.
It's even a little bit more ironic that they would place his children in handcuffs, but not him.
Yeah, that was you going right down my lane that I was thinking, like, and Symone as a woman or as a female, like, why would you flee the country? Who's taking care of the girls?
Why didn't you take your sons with you?
Right. Where are your girls?
If you knew it was coming, or at least don't have your children at your house.
Correct.
Right. Exactly. You know exactly.
Well, I'm gonna have you sitting up there. No, I got the money, baby. Y'all gonna go. Y'all coming with me? We're all getting on this plane, or you're gonna go to a different country, and we're gonna be here, or whatever. But this is probably that ish that Misha Hilton was complaining about when she said she was sick of Diddy involving her son in his mess. Remember that came earlier this year, or within a year ago, when Justin Combs received a DWI while he was with his father. and she was really upset, and it was on social media. We weren't really sure the basis, but it sounds like this kind of foolishness has been going on for a minute.
So let me ask this question, and the obvious question is, have we heard from Misa? Has anybody in his camp spoken? Is anybody saying anything?
No, I haven't heard anything at all. The funny thing is, we haven't even heard from Diddy. No official statement. He has a press agent. The record label has a press agent. No official statement, nothing. Just, so are you going to dump this on your kids? Is that your plan? I don't know what his plan would be.
That's very scary.
Said, leave no child behind.
But listen, let me tell you, you just brought up something, a very good point, Brian. What's up with the record label, Symone? They were in the complaint.
Oh, goodness. They absolutely were. So what's interesting is corporate entities can also be charged criminally. It's a strange and unique thing. It doesn't happen very frequently. But my anticipation is that these corporate entities are going to, you know, as I hypothesized back in December when I began breaking down the case, I said all these companies are going to be distancing themselves. They started to distance themselves so that when this right here popped off, they wouldn't be wrapped up. But right now, any of the executives that have been named, Harvey Pierre, all of them, let's keep tabs. Let's see if they get raided too. If their homes get raided too, because I wouldn't be surprised. And remember, the Jane Doe's lawsuit stated that there was an additional high-profile music entity person that was involved, right? And that she wouldn't release their information unless basically they didn't settle. Well, time's about ticking where that identity is going to get released any day now, unless a settlement is going to be reached with that person. So those are the people that I think we should keep tabs on to see, are they going to get searched too? If so, that's going to help dictate and get an idea of how widespread this criminal investigation has become. Speaking of, so let me know when you're ready. Are we ready to talk about the Suns and what they?
Not yet. We're gonna say the good tea for a second. I need Brian. Brian. I need for you.
I'm sorry, Al, but I'm reading, and Symone's way ahead of me. I'm reading the complaint and the allegation by Mr. Jones, which, as we know, is the basis for this. The basis of this raid at both the Diddy's properties on South Beach, at his house in LA, stems from the complaint filed by Mr. Jones.
Got it. That's what I was going to fish for.
Remember, they confirmed that. We are not.
Got it. All right, so we got that out of the way.
Close your mind is Mr. Jones is implicating. This is the complaint from New York. I am not making it. He's implicating T.D. Jakes.
What?
Yes.
Did you know, Symone? You're the civil right. You're the civil attorney. You know it better than me.
Wait a minute. What? He's what? He's what? T.D. Jakes?
I'll allow Symone if she knows. I can revisit.
So he implicated that T.D. Jakes was participatory in some of these F-off type of events, that they were very private, they were very exclusive, and that he was one of the entities. So actually, a few weeks ago.
Hold on, Symone. Hold on, because y'all so legal. Y'all over my head. Participating how? Participating how?
Pastor was doing it to people. He swallowed them up.
So we are PC, to keep it PC.
Okay, so participating like what?
Mr. Combs detailing how he planned to leverage his relationship with Bishop T.D. Jakes to soften the impact on his public image of Cassie Ventura's lawsuit. I don't know what that means, but I don't know what that means. But it's very bizarre that T.D. Jakes, a man who I imagine is a member of the esteemed religious community, is somehow implicated in this thing.
This is wild. Okay, one more question before we move on, because we're about to get real messy here. Tell me, what are they looking for by raiding his home? What are they looking for?
They're looking for, because the complaint from Mr. Jones alleges extensive use of to drug and other victims.
Okay.
In order to traffic them.
Correct. They're looking for computers, right?
Okay.
R. Kelly looking for computers that have hard drive data of pictures and videos that have been uploaded from your phone.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking for any other media that they can try to use to arrest Mr. Combs.
Okay. Would they also be looking for, say, Rodney said that it went down in bedroom 8, and in bedroom 8 there were whips and chains and handcuffs. Would they be looking for stuff like that to collaborate with his story?
Absolutely. They're going to go in there with a photographer, a forensic photographer, and they're going to map that house out to try and corroborate with his story. Absolutely.
All right. Are they allowed? Because this is what I want to know. Are they allowed, if they say all the girls that were sex trafficked were in room B, are they allowed to go in there and take samples of the carpet, to take samples off the floor? Are they allowed to get hair out of brushes? Are they allowed to take toothbrushes? What are they allowed to take out of that house to show that maybe there was somebody underage in presence and in fact possibly trafficked?
My esteemed colleague Symone.
So any of the above. So what they're allowed to do is they're allowed to go into places where the type, basically in that arrest warrant, I'm sorry, in that search warrant, they have outlined via affidavits the facts that they've become aware of that make them believe there is probable cause to find evidence of trafficking in those locations, right? In those homes. So they've outlined that. And then the judge says, yes, anywhere where you think you can find that stuff, you're welcome to search. So they can do all and any of the above. And again, if it's discovered that he destroyed any evidence beforehand, that's going to be additional charges. And that will probably guarantee some type of criminal time, because you can't tamper with evidence for something as severe as this. But I also want to be clear, it doesn't have to be underage. S trafficking is also grown-ups, right? It could be grown-ups, it could be girls, or it could be boys.
That's right.
It could be
That's
men
right.
or
That's right.
women. So
That's
just
right.
to be clear. So we're not saying it's only children, and we're not saying it's only girls or boys.
That's a brilliant point.
I'm sorry, Al, please forgive me.
No, go ahead.
Also remember, Mr. Jones alleged a RICO. So for everyone who's out here watching, RICO, R-I-C-O, alleges that there is a common scheme or a common plan amongst individuals. Mr. Jones is alleging that Cuba Gooding Jr. is involved in this.
Right.
That's right.
We read that.
And alleging a RICO in a civil complaint is very odd. Yeah. That made me raise my eyebrow, because RICO is solely a criminal charge, which means this. It's kind of like, you guys know how in a criminal, let's say someone's beating you up, right? Only the district attorney can pick up charges. Just like, for example, in the Jonathan Majors case, Jonathan filed a complaint against Grace, but the DA said, no, we're not going to pick up those charges, and we are not going to prosecute her, right? It's the DA's thing. So in a civil suit, initially when I saw the RICO stuff, I said, this looks a little too close to blackmail. Like, why are you referencing a criminal charge that only the DA can pick up? But then I read further into the complaint, and in that state, in New York, where they brought it, if you are a victim of a RICO violation, you can actually recover civil damages. Correct. So that is likely why he did that, because that is grounds to get that money. But also the thing about RICO is it's like a conspiracy. You don't need a lot of evidence to say someone was participatory. So meaning participating, doing it with you. So I think that's how potentially Stevie J could be involved. Cuba Gooding, Harvey Pierre, his son, Justin, who is also listed as a defendant in Rodney Jones's case. Justin could likely be wrapped up into that RICO too.
That is just crazy to me. This case has so many layers, but this is the deal. It appears to me, counselors, both of you, that Rodney's lawyer made sure, the same way Cassie's lawyer made sure, that everything was thrown at him plus the kitchen sink.
Yes.
He layered it so tight that he offered multiple layers to come after Diddy. Now, this is the deal. with all these layers, with all these accusations, with all these cases, with all these settlements, why was he not arrested? It appears to me that Diddy has this magical wand that he waves as a hip hop icon or an urban culture icon, that he just gets out of these situations. How are you someone who people have claimed have been doing this for 30 years? We've also seen accused of even allegedly shooting somebody and covering it up. How do you get away with this, Brian, for 30 years? Why can't anyone put this man behind bars? Why can't we get a conviction?
We know for the first 15 of his years, he was able to get acquitted because he had a brilliant lawyer named Johnny Cochran. Right?
Great point.
May he rest in peace. Maybe the greatest legal mind of our time, Johnny Cochran. After that, I don't know how Diddy pulls this off. I don't know how. I mean, you saw R. Kelly. He lived a long time past these allegations until the video came out and it was just too much to bear. I'm wondering if these things are true, which we don't know if they are, but if they are true, is this Diddy's last swan song? It just, as we read this complaint the more will come out in the future here in the next few days, I don't know how you avoid it. It's like someone said, you don't need a lot of evidence for RICO. You just don't. And they're alleging that Diddy shot somebody in his stomach and he was laying on the floor in his bathroom.
With pictures. There are pictures of the bathroom, pictures of the gauze, pictures of the blood.
Right.
I don't know how you survive that.
Yeah, that was rough. Now, but I have to say, when I initially read Rodney Jones's complaint, that's the only male, my initial thought was, why didn't Cassie's lawyers take that one? Because you always go first to the lawyers that have already got buku millions, right? And that are already representing other people who have successfully sued the same person. So my presumption is that his evidence was a bit weaker. Well, particularly, I felt like, because it seemed like the crux and the true basis of his claims was that Diddy didn't pay him what he believed he was worth. It was more of that and less of the abuse, versus Cassie's allegations were the physical abuse. However, when we talk about why Diddy hadn't been arrested before, I think Cassie's complaint did the best job to explain, because what she said is he was able to make the evidence go away. And when there is video footage of you running from this man in a hotel that miraculously disappears, right? Those are the things that make it virtually impossible to arrest this man. Plus, it is way too easy. I'm going to get in trouble for this, to pay off people in the police industry.
Or not just the police industry. It's easy to pay off the people who bring forth the claim. Let's be very clear. I'm not talking about just Cassie, though, Symone. We're talking about everyone that's coming out saying that they've had some type of sexual abuse with them in the past, right? So, you know, there's, like I said, there's so much to unpack here. All right. So listen, you know, we could go on and on all night. I want to make sure that all of our followers and listeners know that we are definitely going to be following this story, because, Brian, we don't have the search warrant tonight, right?
We will.
But we will have it in the morning, and hopefully this will shine some light on the direction of the charges or possible charges that are, you know, in his rearview mirror?
Well, or in the future.
In the future, yeah, it looks like it.
The search warrant going to tell us. The search warrant has to be specific. It has to tell us where the search warrant is executed. It has to be limited to the locations where they think these things, the chains and the whips, could have been. And what's most alarming about the Miami Beach search warrant, because I don't know much about the Los Angeles property, but being a lawyer in Miami, I take my boat down to Miami. I'm around his area a lot. Is that he has two very big properties. One he paid $35 million for from Gloria Estefan in 2021. The search warrant allowed to search both of those properties, not just one. You have to be very detailed. So that tells me there's a lot of things they're looking for. A lot.
All right. So when we get that search warrant, make sure, I'm going to throw back to you, Symone, before we sign off here. But everybody, I want all our listeners and followers, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button.
Yes.
And leave a comment. We want to answer your questions tomorrow. Anything, any confusion you may have that we didn't unpack tonight, be sure to come back tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific and 9 p.m. Eastern. All right, so that's 6 p.m. Pacific and 9 p.m. Eastern. We're going to answer and unpack more of this case after we read that search warrant, and we're going to answer your questions. Let's see. All right, Symone, what you got for us?
That's all I got. Let's talk about that tomorrow, and then let's also talk about what's the likelihood that the feds will try and indict and file charges against either of the sons in an attempt to have them testify against Diddy.
All right, and also if we are following that tracker, we know he's got a couple of hours to get where he's going. Hopefully tomorrow we will know where this alleged plane that Diddy could or could not be on landed. And we will also, hopefully by tomorrow evening, have with you guys the reason why he chose that destination. I still want to know, though, why did you leave your kids at home? Why didn't you tell them that their arrest was going to happen? And what does this mean?
Glaring questions.
Absolutely. See you guys tomorrow.
All right. Take care.
Wow.
Take care. Bye-bye.